We are going to demonstrate that the God now adopted by the majority of our people is a different spirit than the one we are aligned to ancestrally. There is nothing quite like it of our nation. Today our nation worships a God who never liked it. If you loved somebody who killed his most favorable son or daughter or child, even on your behalf, and usually without your consent, what kind of character would you develop individually or as a nation? Love or hate? Let's look at the biblical God. Greetings, brothers and sisters, children of the first and original ancestor. Welcome to Hamiti Hebrew Ethics. This is preacher Rabbi Ellen Tubizulu dealing with the topic, no other God comes close. Do you love this God? In Deuteronomy 7 says that, and when they deliver these people, you shall smite them and utterly destroy them. But on the other side, he said, I say to you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which spitefully use you and persecute you. Matthew 5:44. It is the same God in the New Testament who teaches his followers, love your enemies. In Matthew 5:44, Luke 6:27, 35. Oh yes, we follow the millions who say Jesus is the exact representation of God as taught in Hebrews 1 and 3. So it is the same God of the Old Testament. In John, we read God is love. In 1 John 4, 8-16, and in Romans 13:10, we read love does no harm to a neighbor. So why did God order the destruction of Canaan? Christians insist that God's nature is unchanging, that God is love. But what type of love is this? When you read Deuteronomy 13:13-19, it says, suppose you hear in one of your towns that the Lord is giving you, that some worthless rabble among you have led their fellow citizens astray and they worship foreign gods. In such a case, examine it carefully. If you find it is true and can prove that such a detestable act has occurred among you, you must attack that town, completely destroy all its inhabitants, its livestock, children, and everything. Pile it in the city center and light it and burn it and torch it as an offering to the Lord your God. Then the Lord will turn from his fierce anger and be merciful to you. Now, he will have compassion on you and make you a great nation, just as he solemnly swore to your ancestors. So, is this love? Burn non-believers in a mass human sacrifice to Yahweh. Is this love? Is this a God we are following? Think about this seriously. Is God really such petty and harsh like this? Those who love this way harmonize these actions. These atrocities are justified by them, and they teach millions to believe that these murders and genocide were a righteous and judicial order. Yet it was total mayhem of slaughter and stomach-wrenching barbarism. The Israelites attacked the Midianites on God's orders, and Moses gave them the order that all the people there should be massacred except for the virgins. How do you know that this is a virgin? Who the Israelites would keep to themselves as wives. Read that. There's a law that says rapists may marry the victim if the victim is not married in Deuteronomy. Then God requires you to kill people for a variety of other things. And also, there was an earthwide genocide of the human race. If you read in Genesis 6, the Lord wiped out all humans, wiped out all birds, all reptiles, all everything. And then in the same scenario, vowed that he will never destroy mankind again that way. There are more deaths, more cruelty. If you go to the Exodus of the Hebrews or Israelites from Egypt, you find that in Exodus 9, with a hailstorm, the Lord killed both people and animals, slaves and livestock. But the only reason for doing that was because he had hardened Pharaoh's heart. At least over 300,000 Africans males were killed by God in ancient Egypt. in Exodus 11:12. After the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart again, so that he could not let the Israelites live, the Lord got revenge on himself by killing the firstborn of every Egyptian, from the highest to the lowest, including the animals. Even those that were not in the decision making, they were victims. After Moses convinced God not to kill all the Israelites, and after God ordered the Levites to murder their relatives and the neighbors, about 3,000 of them, God sent a plague on the camp. It's now clear that many people were killed in this plague. This God described in the Bible is a killer. He kills indiscriminately without regard to who actually committed what offense, and often without warning. Are we then confused by the atrocities of his followers and the followers of this book? Something is really amiss. We are told that God is love. Is there love in all this? Is this an African God? He even kills his own son. And he says he loved the world to the extent that he kills his own son in a very cruel manner. Who is this God? Ask Christians. They will say, indeed, God is a spirit, and they supply you with a scripture, John 4:24. God is a spirit. So was Jesus a spirit when he was walking on the earth? When he was eating, when he was going to the toilet, when he was beating people in the temple, was he a spirit? Or does God change? What about Satan, the devil, and demons? Are they spirits? They too are spirits. How then do you know which spirit you are worshipping? Which spirit inspired these passages? They all commit atrocities. Read here in Ephesians 2:2. The nature of Satan revealed in titles used to describe him. He is called the prince of the power of the air. He is a spirit in which a lot of people that disobey the laws found by this God in the Bible. So anyone who disobeys the law, like circumcision, like murder, like anything, he is a follower of the spirit called Satan. Our ancestors at the highest level of philosophy demonstrated a totally, completely different philosophy, which we shall demonstrate. This God portrayed in the Bible, on one hand, is a spirit, but on the other hand again, is a physical entity, both in the Old and the New Testament, with purely human frailties and fallibilities. He has gender, is a man. He hates, is jealous, eats food, loves the smell of burnt meat and offals, and grain and flour smoke. This is totally different from our ancestral concept. The biblical God walks in the garden. You can see here in Genesis 3:3-8, and they heard the sound of the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of the day. He could not walk when it was hot. And Adam and Eve hid themselves from the presence of the Lord among the trees of the garden. Then the Lord could not find them. He had to call them, could not locate Adam and Eve hiding. And this God, this same God, demanded a human sacrifice from Abraham. Loves bloody sacrifices and incendiary, loves burnt offerings. If you read Genesis 8, you find that Noah made an altar, took some clean animals, clean birds, and sacrificed burnt offerings on it. And the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma. He liked it. Exodus 29, he says, take of the rams, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on them, slaughter it, and take the blood and sprinkle it against the altar on all sides. He loves blood. Cut the ram in pieces and wash the inner parts and the legs, putting them with the head and the other pieces. Then burn the entire ram on the altar. It is a burnt offering to the Lord, a pleasing aroma, and offering made to the Lord by fire. Then take them from their hands and burn them on the altar along with the burnt offering for a pleasing aroma to the Lord. In Leviticus 1:9, we read, he is to wash the inner parts and the legs with water, and the priest is to burn all of it on the altar. It is a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. Both kidneys with the fat on them near the loins, and the covering of the liver, which he will remove with the kidneys. Then Aaron's sons are to burn it on the altar on the top of the burnt offerings that is on the burning wood, as an offering made by fire, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. Many scriptures here we have given, that's many scriptures, evidence upon evidence that he loves fat, he loves offals, he loves burnt offerings, he loves blood. The priest is to sprinkle the blood against the altar of the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting and burn the fat as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. The Lord speaking says, the one who has stolen what was set apart for destruction will himself be burned with fire along with everything he has, for he has broken the covenant of the Lord and has done a horrible thing in Israel. You can read there. So this is quite clear. We are dealing with something here. Is this the God of love? Our ancestors never forced any other races to follow their beliefs. What we find here is that no other God comes close. After all this, let us offer a definition of a psychopath, which was crafted by one of our scholars at Marifa Development Organization. The true definition of a psychopath is one who believes individual humans have no independent self-control, no self-correction ability, no conscience to do good, independent of the psychopath. This means the number one psychopath is Jesus and the God of the Bible, the Quran and the Torah, who is opposed to independent melanin-induced human self-consciousness. For the history of the Bantus, there could be no other God who comes close to the one of the book religions who have been forced on us. Let us conclude in a way that clears this fog for everyone. The original Bantu teaching is totally diametrical opposite what we have all read above. It teaches that the real creator is neither a spirit or a physical entity. According to the book, the creator or a God in us turned it, our original ancestor and original ancestors did not worship God, for God did not then exist. As seen above, the Christian Bible and the Torah, the God in them speaks, walks, forgets, kills, and is a human male. So let us look at this and let's follow the philosophy demonstrated in the book, The Creator or God, which you can get from Amazon. It is important for us to understand that the brain is finite and that we should agree on the idea that we can only grasp things that are finite. It is also accurate that the things that are non-physical, moods, opinions, personalities, and emotions are also clearly in the category of being finite. That's the definition of that God that is a finite spirit. All of this now brings us to the more supplementary understanding of the Creator's infiniteness. Anyone who is careful and ponders on the idea of the Creator knows that the Creator is not physical. Yet they are more likely to assume he is a spirit. But is he or she or it a spirit? Christianity, Judaism, and many others all teach that God is a spirit. They are mistaken. From the Berean Bible, John 4:24, we read that God is spirit, and his worshippers must worship him in spirit and truth. Which God? Jesus, the Holy Spirit, or Satan? We know that the Creator doesn't take up space or live in the present moment. We already know from previous discussions that space and the time are themselves elements of finite reality, and that the Creator is the source beyond them, but created them. In that sense, we can actually say the Creator is pre-primordial. So if the Creator is in the physical, then perhaps we should conclude that the Creator is spiritual. Later on, we supplied detailed explanations of the spiritual world, what it comprises of, and how it functions. Let's work with common understanding that people have about the spiritual realm. We might describe it as a deeper dimension of existence, perhaps a non-physical reality, invisible, not located in a precise place, not space-bound, yet we definitely seem to be talking about a specific thing. If you have attended rituals in which spirit manifests, you will know that a spirit exists. If so, the spiritual realm is a genuine reality. It is made up of spiritual stuff, like forces or force fields with frequencies. Therefore, if the Creator created the spiritual, then the Creator is not spiritual. Same as the Creator creating the physical and is not part of or bound by the physical. Some sages teach that the nature and essence of the two, i.e. the Creator and creation, both physical and spiritual, are not the same at all, and it is therefore impossible to draw any parallel between them. This means that there is no possible analogy or comparison we could possibly use for anything we have ever experienced or imagined that would give us any glimpse of the true nature of this infinite being. This is clear. Here is an aspect where we can be able to answer who created the creator. Here is a teaching that predates all book religions, and Atum became self. I am he who came into being what I created, the creator of the creations. After I created my own becoming, I created many things that came forth from my mouth. That is stretching our minds a little bit further. As Bantus, we have an obligation to stretch our perception as far as possible. It is clear that the God followed by millions of our brothers and sisters, children of the original ancestors, is a cruel, evil, genocidal spirit. The proof is in the books. There is no way our nation can rise up. There is no salvation from these books. The current status of our nation is a clear testimony. Thankfully, thousands are being called out by our ancestors, and it is a pleasure to be part of the workers in the field. You too can put on the boots and roll the sleeves. Contact us today via the link join@marifado.com and let us work together and be strong in our identity. Subscribe to Hamiti Hebrew Ethics Marifado Development Organization. This is our email. Contact us on this email. This is Preacher Rabbi LM Tumizulu. Because we don't follow God, but the Creator. Have a good day.